way through. I'll eat it.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, Cinematic Critics. Let's review Dune Part 2. Things we're going to be discussing today about the film, guys, is the excellent acting, the great cinematography, the very good CGI, the great sound, color transitioning between planets, and pacing in the film. So without further ado, let's hop into it. The first thing that I want to talk about with you guys is the amazing acting in this film. The acting was top notch, and I felt very connected to the characters. Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as Chani, and Austin Butler as Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen are just a few of many that did an outstanding job in the film. Timothée Chalamet's progression from being the small, stubborn son of Duke Atreides to where he is by now at the end of the film, which of course is a spoiler, and I will not be saying it because this will be a spoiler-free review, is very fascinating to observe. The romantic relationship between Paul Atreides and Chani is fine, and what I mean by that is that a lot of times in Hollywood romantic relationships, they're overdone, they're over-exaggerated, and it's really annoying to watch, but in this film, I personally didn't find the relationship to be too overwhelming at all. And finally, when talking about acting, Austin Butler absolutely kills his role as Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen. He was very intimidating, and you could tell that he was the high ego villain of this film. Now moving on to one of the more important aspects of Dune Part 2 is the cinematography. The cinematography was outstanding once again. Greg Fraser once again knocked it out of the park. Every scene felt so natural, and it was hard to believe that this wasn't a real place in, our world. And a lot of it was due to the fact that the CGI was very good, but I'll get into that later. The shots of the sand dunes, for example, were great. The director's decision to use the locations of Budapest, Jordan, Abu Dhabi, and Italy were great locations. The greatness of the sand shots were very appealing and very naturalistic. So kind of what I was adding on, guys, about the cinematography, the CGI was shocking, to say the least. The CGI felt so damn real. I was looking at the movie screen and I was like, how in the world was this created? These ships look insanely realistic, but the budget was massive, so I guess that kind of explains as to why it looks so real. But there is a particular scene with the massive sandstorm and Timothy's character Paul that will leave you shocked, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything else. But again, the fight sequences is what really made this film good. Seeing characters get absolutely blown away to smithereens by the weapons in this film was really cool. This film was PG-13, so they couldn't really show as much violence as a rated R film, obviously, but they were able to make the violence still seem very naturalistic. A lot of throat slitting, I will say. The daunting noises in this film that were like, were pretty damn scary. And I know that sounded funny, but once you watch it, and then you'll be like, okay, I see what Cinematic Critics was talking about. There was also a big fight scene about halfway through the film that will make you feel as if you were there in person. And something else worth mentioning about this film is that the color composition was really neat, and let me explain what I mean by that. The way that the color composition changed throughout a different planet was really cool. At first, I was so sucked into the story that I was like not really paying attention, and then once it kept happening, I was like, wait a minute, the color of this planet is different than what we just saw from this planet. But like I said, it was just the way they synchronized it, you didn't even really notice it. And the last thing that I will say about this film is the pacing. There's positives and negatives to the pacing in this film, and I will explain it to you. So the positives about the pacing in this film was that it was obviously significantly better than the first Dune film. This is obvious because the first Dune film was more focused on the backstories of the characters, that way we knew what was going on with each character. But there was also a few moments that the pacing felt kind of flat, if that's how you could say it. It wasn't terrible, but you could definitely catch yourself being like, all right, so what's going on right now again? Like, what does this have to do with what was just being shown? Maybe it was just me, but I felt like that was noticed. But again, the last hour was very interesting, and it will definitely keep you on your toes. I am not lying to you about that. So guys, overall, this film was very good. The rating that I will give this film, guys, is a solid A. I believe that is fair on my behalf due to what I found good and not so good about the film. So yeah, guys, is Dune Part 2 on your list of movies to watch this year, or would you rather skip it? Comment down below, let me know y'all's thoughts, and I appreciate y'all's time, and I will see y'all in the next one. Be safe.